Andrew Wakefield is going to be waking up this morning with glee because the American president has acknowledged
Finally.
his findings that MMR is linked to autism.
MMR and Tylenol in pregnancy.
Which is the brand name for paracetamol in the US.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, with the RFK obviously has been the spearhead behind this kind of medical research before he was made the health secretary in America.
Well, because he's got no medical background, Sean, so he was the right man for the
job.
The
right man for the job. Vibes-based medicine. No, I mean, like, not only is he he's a COVID vaccine is bad, regular vaccines are bad. He also believes in chemtrails. And this guy is in charge of the health.
Good Lana Del Rey song.
Well, yeah, that's true. Maybe that's why he's so interested in them. But no, it's scary, isn't it? That, like, you can have the leader of the free world just stand up and say, you don't need to take my advice, but this is the vibe that I'm getting, guys.
I mean, it's very similar to COVID, isn't it? Because, that was the sort of... You had Dr. Fauci who would say things like, could you please get the vaccine?
And then
Donald Trump would stand up and say things like, have you considered injecting bleach?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, you'd hear from Dr. Fauci, the esteemed medical professional, and you'd say, listen, pal, you may have done decades of research. You may really understand the human body and condition. The president is suggesting I inject myself in bleach. And look, I'm sure your papers are a good read, a riveting read.
Yeah. I'm sure you spend a lot of time getting that doctorate, getting that medical degree.
Yeah.
He's the president. And Joe Rogan said it as well. So come on.
Yeah.
There has to be some truth to it.
Do you know, the thing that I do find funny is I was listening to that press conference yesterday or this morning, whenever the hell I listened to it. Do you know what as well? Like, have you seen the Fox News didn't even carry it live. Do you know that?
Did they not?
They didn't even carry it live.
That's interesting.
It was too mental for Fox News to carry live.
Well, they've started to kind of, I mean, not entirely shift away, but they are, in their own strange way, being a little bit critical of the Trump administration. Particularly, there was polling they did, I think it was over the weekend or in the middle of last week, where the findings were that the general Fox News viewer is not happy with the Trump administration.
The thing that you can't really get past is that the two people who are delivering this news that Tylenol or paracetamol is potentially dangerous in pregnant women, they sort of look like that cartoon that used to go on about rusty spoons. Like, they don't look like the pinnacle of health. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're sort of like two men who look like they're melting, almost like a wax candle.
Yeah.
And, you've got sort of like Trump's Saint-Tropez, Saint Moritz glow is sort of like melting off of his face.
Yeah.
You've got RFK behind it being like, tell him about the paracetamol. And it's like, Jesus, guys, like, if you're going to deliver something like this, you kind of want to bring in like a Gwyneth Paltrow. You know what I mean? Like, you want to bring in someone who looks sort of as if they've just been drinking bone broth and they're kind of, at least put together. You want to bring in someone who looks like they can get dressed by themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? And instead, you bring in these two men that are almost like fighting for their lives. Like, can I get a seat?
There was someone I heard make the point that this is kind of a small bit to sincerity, but like looking forward to what this would mean for the average American, because it's also like, yeah, you're right. These two old melting farts are telling us what women should be doing during pregnancy or what families should do with their children once they're born. But turning around in a context in America where you've got a deeply conservative Republican administration, you've got control of the House, you've got Roe v. Wade has been taken out, abortion rights are being stripped away in states across the country. And the president is now saying you shouldn't take paracetamol when you're pregnant, otherwise you're going to give your child autism. Someone, I can't remember, it was like a radio show I was listening to this morning, was making the point that this kind of announcement is just further enforcing this idea of the government being able to step in and have control over women's bodies in pregnancy, and so it gives more
Oh,
ground
that's very interesting.
you
I
know.
hadn't thought about that.
Because it would
Yes.
be like, if you can get enough traction behind this, like, okay, maybe it's not paracetamol, but you definitely shouldn't be smoking or drinking or taking ibuprofen instead, or taking this or that. And these are the sanctioned things that you're allowed to take.
Yes.
It all ties into how female bodily autonomy is treated in America.
Calling freelancers, small and mid-sized business owners. Tide's Instant Saver account offers up to 4% AER variable, flexible access, and competitive returns.
Unlike other options on the market, you won't need to hold your money with Tide for a fixed period. That means you'll have instant access and free withdrawals whenever you need it.
You can get started today with just £1, making it easy to start growing your business savings.
Want to know what you'll earn? Tide's clever calculator gives you a clear picture up front.
Our audience will receive £100 cash back when you deposit £5,000 within the first 30 days of opening your Tide Instant Saver account.
Use code JOE, that's JOE, JOE. New members receive an annual equivalent rate of up to 4% AER variable, free for 6 months. For the full offer, visit tide.co/Joe. T's and C's apply.
And you also have the commercial aspect of it, which you don't have so much here because
Yeah.
of the NHS, which is that, look, now this is going to sound like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, and they haven't given advice about what drugs you should take instead. But you do have the commercial concern where you've got Donald Trump, who's very angry at Ireland because they are creating all of these drugs, and Europe are getting the same American drugs for a lot cheaper. The replacement drug, is that linked to a big conglomerate who wants to sell that to you? Americans then have to go and pay through the nose for that. You know, I know that sounds very tinfoil hat, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that an American government, who, by the way, has said that they'll pretty much only solve the Russia-Ukraine war if Ukraine hands over a shit ton of minerals and cash
Yeah.
to America,
Yeah.
might have some financial incentive.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like, it's the thing with RFK himself. Like, he, for the longest time, was against those. I don't know what the medical term is for them, but you know, those diabetes monitors that are like permanently attached to you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he was initially against that on the basis of like
They like click into
data
you, don't they?
collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a blood sugar monitor
Yeah.
that's always hooked up to your phone or something. And he was initially against them on the basis of them being like data collection devices that are like,
Which, by
for
the way,
big
can I
tech.
just say is actually
It's true.
That is true.
Yeah, it's
that
true.
is-
Now, they're
again,
also
we sound like
performing
we're
a medical
mental,
function.
But who does own that data? Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously you should have some legislation in there that says, by the
Yeah.
way, you can't store this data.
However, as soon as those companies then come and give him some support, whether it's financial or political, that line of interrogation disappears.
Blurs.
You know.
But anyway, we wouldn't be able to say that definitively. That's just a
Oh no, that's just a take. That's
a
just a take. Yeah.
that's really interesting. Okay. This is the thing that I find very baffling about the American health question.
Mm.
You have a real problem with obesity in America, right? And you have a real problem with, the heart disease, strokes, a lot of the sort of like, I guess, man-made illnesses that one could do to their body. A lot of them are higher in the States,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I'm just going to hypothesize here and say, look, the food is bad. The food is bad for you out there. A lot of it is, I would argue, rather, some of it is poisonous. When I lived in Chicago, I found I had this like real obsession with looking at what was on the back of cans and what on the back of food I was eating. And I've never really had an issue with what I put into my body. I don't even think about it here. You know, I just Like if I'm in the supermarket here, I literally take something off the shelf and put it in my, you know what I mean? Like if it says it's canned tomatoes, I buy the canned tomatoes. I don't think about it. When I was living in Chicago, I was hyper conscious and I was looking at the back of the ingredients, and it would astound you what was in there. You know, you'd buy like tin tomatoes, and obviously like I eat quite a lot of tin tomatoes because
I'm Italian.
well, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like
Yeah.
pasta and like whatever is like one of my main
It's
food
staples.
groups. It's
Yeah,
a staple.
yeah.
And I'd look on the back of it and it would be like 20 grams of sugar. And you go, why the fuck is there this much sugar in a can of tomatoes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know
They
what I'm
have,
saying?
but it's not even like the additives to fruit. I mean, their artificial foods are insanely different. Like
They are,
there's
yeah.
even, you know, like your Fantas in Europe versus America, where Fanta here is kind of a yellowy color, but in America it's like
Martian
luminescent
orange.
orange. Yeah. Because there is a chemical that they use in America that's banned in the EU for
But
that.
the ketchup is the same.
Yeah, yeah.
The ketchup in the UK, the ingredient list is like 6 or 7 ingredients. In the States, it's like the list goes on and on and on. It's like reading like okay, it's like the Magna Carta versus like the, you know,
Bill of Rights, is that short? Yeah.
I don't know, something comprehensive.
But to be fair, like, we're ragging on RFK because of the Tylenol stuff, but that is one of the things that he came in to try and correct.
The food stuff.
The food stuff.
And he's bang on
He's
about
bang
that.
on with that. Everything else, you need to chill out a small bit.
Thanks to Tide and their instant savings account for sponsoring this week's podcast.
New members receive an annual equivalent rate of up to 4% AER variable.
Our audience will receive £100 cash back when you deposit £5,000 within the first 30 days of opening your Tide Instant Saver account.
Use code JOE. For the full offer, visit tide.co/Joe. T's and C's apply.